Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the D&Y Podcast. I'm your host, Yassine Mustafa, with my co-host, Dimitri Magnan, and today we're bringing you another fiery episode. This one, we're pulling the curtain off. We're going to be talking about something that is not talked enough about in life and entrepreneurship, which is family. Family, and it's going to be amazing. Before we do that, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get started. Are you ready, Dimitri? How's your week been? How's everything been, man?
I am I'm born ready. I was born ready
That's the spirit.
and ready to do a fire podcast episode now. I hope you're doing very well as well. I had a fantastic week, very productive up until now, so that was very good. And figure out a few new tricks.
Oh,
And if you want me to, I can directly share the first wisdom nugget.
please.
I'll I'll put in the recording once you see it a example of what I'm trying to talk about. We have what I did, and it was a tip by Alex Hormozy, who said, take a spreadsheet and put in the date and then 15-minute time increments,
Mm,
and then fill in after 15 minutes, fill in what you've done in those 15 minutes. You can do that by setting a timer every 15 minutes, for example, like classic kitchen timer. And that gives you a very well awareness of what you did during the last 15 minutes, and this gives you a very well awareness of if you're actually productive or not, or if you get distracted. So for me, that was very helpful to just keep track of what I'm actually doing, and in a very simple way without like over complicating it, which yeah, was very helpful. So that was definitely a big thing that helped me, and I suggest you trying it as well. If you're struggling with productivity, or if you're just trying to find out what you're spending your time with on a daily basis, because that you might not be aware of how you spend your time and if you're wasting it.
yeah, I think that's a great tip. It's funny that you shared it because I got a video from a friend of mine about this tip, and I was like, okay, I'll do it at some point. So maybe that's a sign now. Second person to talk about it. So maybe that's a sign that I have to do it. Um, but it's a great tip, and I'm sure you discovered a lot of things about yourself. I hope they were good things, not bad productivity things. But
Well, you figure out when you don't do as much, when you're like, oh, 15 minutes have already passed. What have I done? But it's by making mistakes that you learn.
yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Um, my wisdom nugget, honestly, I have a lot of things that I could make a wisdom nugget of today. But since you went with the theme of productivity, I'm gonna join you in on that one. Um, I was working on my uni projects for today. Well, I've been working on one uni project in particular for about a week, and the more I worked on it, the more, I realized that there were ways to be a little bit more productive or smarter while doing it. But I didn't beat myself up too much about it because I, and this is a point to add on or a caveat to your point, which is like sometimes you can only learn how to be efficient by being inefficient. Or Cody Sanchez once said, like, sometimes by working hard, often you end up discovering or being dumb. Sorry, she said by being dumb, you discover how to be smarter. So this is what happened with me. And the reason I share this is because I just want people to know that sometimes uh, after you've done something dumb, you're like, that could have been done in such a smarter way, but you had to go through that. So don't beat yourself up, learn from it, and move on. But what Dimitri did is a very good way to prevent that feeling of dumbness from happening a lot of times.
Well, when you do something the first time, that always
Hmm.
happens. That at the end you're always smarter, and you think, oh, I could have done it easier that way. But that's the process of learning, and I believe that's totally
Yep,
normal
yep. So I just wanted to,
when you do something for the first time. So yeah,
yeah,
but yeah, very good thing, and thank you for sharing
no
it.
worries, man.
Um,
Before you play the clip, I want to tell people just what this is about because they might be like, what's going on here? Um, This is a podcast episode from an actress who, if you're Egyptian, maybe even Swiss, you could know her. She's been doing a big buzz in the Middle East. Her name is Yasmin Al Abd. And this is AB Talks. It's a podcast where they do some interviews with actors, famous people, sometimes even entrepreneurs in Arabic and French. And there was some pretty interesting stuff I learned from this podcast, and I wanted to share them because and add my comments on them, me and Dimitri, because we think it could be pretty useful, especially when it comes to family, and especially when you have a culture that is a little bit more closed like this. You know, when you're used to having a culture that is a little bit more less distant with family, that can be challenging sometimes to know how to navigate and deal with it.
بحترمه بشكل مش عادي يعني ربنا يخليه انا بحبه جدا بحبه قوي قوي ومامي يعني اقول ايه ولا ايه يعني ما اظنش ان انا حتى هقدر اعمل ده مع عيالي الدعم اللي هو the support she's giving me انا حتى انا عن نفسي مش قادره استوعب وبحمد ربنا عليه بس انا مش فاهمه هي ازاي قادره تعمل ده ازاي للدرجه دي ومش عارفه ليه بتعمل ده يعني الحمد لله مؤمنه بيا جدا مع ان في الاول I had to prove myself شويه بس مؤمنه بيا جدا ومعايا في كل خطوه يعني انك يبقى عندك حد support system بس برضو فاهم الدنيا يقدر يفكر معاك ناخد وندي ونقعد يعني نستشير رأي بعض والعيلة وبتاع يعني دي حاجة دي نعمة كبيرة قوي قوي أنا محظوظة في أمي جدا الحمد لله إحنا يعني مش عارفة لو ده أكيد هي بالطريقة اللي هي ربتني بيها بس يعني أنا يمكن أكتر من إخواتي أنا فاهماها جدا وبتعاطف معاها بشكل مش عادي بتعاطف معاها كأم وكزوجة وكبنت
Good, that was it. So I put the subtitles into that recording so the ones of you that don't speak Arabic like myself can understand it as well and can also learn from what she was telling us in this clip. You see your thoughts to it?
Yeah, I honestly think I mean, I recommend if you have the chance to watch the interview, you do check it out. It's very good. This interview clip was a big shift for me because it made me realize the importance of when parents support their kids. And I have to say, I'm pretty lucky to also have a bit of that. I'll say more about that later. But when your parents support you, honestly, you thrive so much like she has. She's crushed it now as an actress. God bless her. And she's being a pretty big inspiration, pretty big success while keeping her values. And I think a big part of that is because her family supported her. And I think when your family doesn't support you, it can be pretty dangerous. If you're a parent and your kid has a dream and he really wants to do it or she wants to do it and you're not supporting them, it can be very dangerous because there's a chance, you know, you might be scared of them going after that dream because you're like, oh, what if they fail? Okay, what if they fail and then they go towards bad influences or substances? At least if they fail and you're there for them, you're there for them. And they're less likely to fail, in my opinion, if they have you with them than if they were to go at it alone with your support. And so I'm talking especially to, you know, people from the Egyptian culture, but that could be applicable to any culture because a lot of times kids have dreams and we do have a bit of fear. We stand in their way and then they end up being unhappy, depressed, addicted, or whatever because they couldn't go after their dream or they turn towards substances that could have been avoided if you just trusted them and backed them up, you know? Or some of them cut you off, like they end up going on their own, they end up succeeding, but then they cut you off completely as a parent. So you've lost the relationship with them once they've succeeded. And I think that's a shame because wouldn't you want to, at the end of the day, you are scared because you want them to be happy and successful. But what's funny is by you know standing in their way, you end up pushing them away from you. and you end up increasing the chances of them also failing or, losing their values. That's what I think. Because they're going to go to someone else if it's not you. And it might be someone who's dangerous or someone who's reckless who still causes damage. And could be a beautiful surprise like this actress who made it. If you actually stand in their way, maybe they'll surprise you. Stand with them, sorry, not in their way. So
Yeah, and I believe the teachings of believing in yourself is very important, because when you're small and you don't have a lot of confidence as a kid, it's difficult for you to believe in yourself, and as a parent to teach your kids, hey, believe in yourself, you can do it, because if you yourself believe you can do it, you're already 90% of the way there, because that's one of the most important things. It's believing in yourself and having faith that you can do it. So I believe that is very important, because at some point you're gonna have to stand on your own feet, and at some point you have
yeah,
to get an adult, and you're not gonna have mom and dad who's gonna always be behind your
yeah,
back. But still, it can make or break lots of things. If you have a good environment at home where you feel comfortable, you can rest, you have peace, very important. Because if you're very stressed and you come home and there's not peace, that's not gonna help as well. But yeah, what you said is very good. That
yeah,
that can make or break it.
yeah. And I mean, especially, Dimitri, like, you're right. It's a good point that you mentioned that at some point, yes, you're gonna have to stand on your own 2 feet. But your parents, as parents, they will never be able, if they're, good parents who raised you well, be able to see you fully in pain and not at least try to help you in some way or shape or form. But you're right that for you to even be able to stand on your own 2 feet, it starts with them helping you out and believing in yourself. Because when you're a kid, well, I mean, you seek their validation at that age, especially, you know. So what they say is like, it's pretty tough. It can make or break you, and you have to be careful with what you say to your kids.
Yeah, these are the first things at the beginning. The first big influence you have is the influence from home.
Yeah,
Then, as you go to school and that grows, you have influence from friends and teachers and stuff. But at the beginning, the only things you take away are the things you take away from home. So these are very important, and that's the foundation of who you are. You have a character, obviously, but the way that forms and what you hear at home is what's gonna form you.
yeah, yeah. It's very true, honestly. Um, yeah, these are good points. And you know, when I watched this podcast and even part of this clip, it led me on a rabbit hole of thoughts. I was not the most transparent person with my family. I'll be honest with you. I'd hide my work, and because I didn't understand, I didn't understand I guess my parents very well, and I didn't understand the difference in the culture, the Egyptian culture, the Swiss culture, or just the difference in that and how things are approached. A lot of the assumptions that I made about who my family are came from books I read, where honestly, I'll be real with you, the parents weren't great to their kids when they had a dream, or they chased a path. And a lot of the influencers I watched too, at the time, they would reinforce this mindset of cut your family off, hide your life, because they had that. But also, a lot of them, or a few of them, had this aspect of, you know, people can't attack what they don't know, so don't even risk sharing, you know. So I hid away. I would hide my copywork. Sometimes my parents would be like, "Can we see it and stuff?" Because I was ashamed. I didn't make enough money and it didn't feel good enough to show. I was projecting my thoughts, my beliefs of what they think onto them when it wasn't true. I hadn't even tried to show them and see. Maybe they'd like it. Maybe they'd be supportive. And it wasn't until I switched to voice acting where I was like, okay, you know what? Let me try. After watching this podcast also, this podcast did play a role. Let me try. Maybe my parents could be supportive like her parents. Maybe the reason they're not supportive yet, okay, there's no money yet, but there might be something else. Skill, talent, you know? So when I started showing them my tennis, voiceovers, my stuff that I did, guess what happened? They started being supportive and encouraging and believing in me even more than I did in myself at first, you know? And I realized all this fear that I had was in my head. Like, even when I would argue that a lot of the caveat that the influencers don't tell you is they're like, don't share, or people can't attack what they don't know, or family is not supportive. I would argue, share even if it feels risky, because sometimes it clears up stories you've created in your head that were never true in the first place. Like, share once, twice, and find out. Because I would argue it's braver to share than to not share, you know, and see what happens. And then if your parents don't support you, fine, at least you know now. But if they end up supporting you, it might be a pleasant surprise um, that could give you a lot of strength, just like her parents gave her a lot of strength. And that's the case with me with voice acting. I'll be real with you, you know. Of course, friends, but my parents did play a big role in some of the stuff you're seeing.
The most important thing is the family is the people that are the closest to you, that saw you grow up, that did a lot for you. So the least you can do is be transparent to them.
You're right. You're right, and I feel like, you know, um, for me at least, it was more of a coward move not to show them, because I didn't own who I was fully. Like, this is me, you know, this is what I like, this is what I'm gonna do, and I didn't want to be you know, met with resistance, you know. So it was easier, but sometimes, you know, well, easier doesn't mean better, because of course when you change something, there's gonna be a bit of resistance, um, but not because you're met with resistance at first that it's gonna stay that way, you know. If your parents see after all, okay, this guy, he's holding on to this, they might start being like, okay, let me try and see, let me try and help. And if they start seeing some results, whether it's financial or it's skill based, I think they'll start at least respecting it. Not all parents, I can't broaden to all parents, but I would say in the case of my parents who were pretty healthy and just wanted me to be safe and happy and successful, that's it.
Exactly. Your parents want you to be successful and have a good job, make good money, have a safe job, have safe money, so you yourself are able to grow a family and be able to pay for it and stuff. They want you to do well. Your parents just want you to do well, and they may be against it because they don't think it's safe or because it's the unknown. I mean, especially for us who are doing a job on the internet, it's something that maybe wasn't existing in that way 20 years ago or 25 years ago um, when they looked for a job and started making money. It was more classical ways of making money, so that's why they maybe don't support it or don't understand it as much. But if you're trying to explain to them and I mean be
Yeah.
open with them, like you're always gonna have rejection, not only with family but also with other things when you start posting videos or doing things. Sorry, if you have people that hate you or people that talk bad about you, it's usually a sign you're doing something good.
Yeah, and that's a good point, you know, Dimitri, because with me, I want to add on to this what you just said. Don't take it personally. That's the thing. Don't take it as like,
It's with all it's with a
yeah,
lot of things, especially with comments. Don't take
like,
them personally.
don't take it with your family. It's like, they're against me. This is the mistake. They're against me because they're not being supported. No, no, it's just different point of views. And especially, you know, now they're more supportive with voiceover, which is easier than copy. So if you're someone who's doing copy, let me tell you why it's easier. Because with copy, it's hard. The only thing you've got to show of proof is the money, of course, and the charts, if you track them, of like sales coming into your clients, maybe testimonials. But if you don't have that, especially at the start, yeah, it makes sense why they'd be doubtful. Voice acting, I'd say it's a little bit easier because they can hear it, they can see a video, you know. So that's also a point I want to add. It's like, don't take it personally, and also understand that depending on what you're doing, like what Dimitri said, some things they're new. Like people now that do AI stuff, some parents might be like, "The hell is being an AI prompt engineer? How does that get any? You can get paid for that?" So yeah, understand that some fields are harder than others.
Put yourself in the other one's shoes. That's just, I guess, a very important point of
And then
yeah.
the other point that I had, yeah, that's also a good one that I had that came from this is involve your parents and they'll stop fighting your dreams. What do I mean by that? I used to think, and this came from a lot of the videos I watch, also a bit of my warrior mindset. Keeping your parents out of your work would protect it. Okay, that's something I already said, but it you know what's funny, Dimitri, is it actually made them disconnected and suspicious because they saw my ambition, especially when I would work these long hours and not spend any time with them, or they're like, let's go do a trip. I'm like, I can't. They saw my ambition as something that was taken away from them. And I was not the type of person, I'll be honest, who would care about this. I'd be like, well, they don't get it. This is life. You know, I just have to work for hours. It is what it is. They have to accept it. And it's true they have to accept it, but I think it's easier if your parents see that you're trying, you're trying to make time for them somehow, and to the best of your ability. You're like, okay, mom, let's go do something this weekend. I know I wasn't available last weekend. Or, hey, mom, I know you wanted us to go get some coffee, but I was not available. I can't this Tuesday, but maybe I can this Monday, Show them that this path is not just taking you away from them. Because sometimes that's the mistake we do when we get into this hustle culture, hustle world, is we make them think that, you're not important anymore. I'm putting you on the side. Every hour, every minute is going to be spent on hustling, and tough luck to you. You're not a priority.
Yeah, family is important. Family is important, and showing them that you care about them and with being open
Yeah.
to them is
Yeah,
is a
I know
good
you don't
thing.
have a lot of time, so I'll just add this final part, which is just also when I was saying involve them, what I meant is, sometimes it can be a smart way for you if you don't have a lot of time, but you still need to get some feedback, some work. Sometimes what I do is I show my family my voiceovers to get their thoughts. And that's a way of spending time, but also getting something that helps the business. So,
That's a very good one.
yeah,
That's a very good one.
so
That's very wise. I have to tell you
thank you,
that.
man.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm sorry for not having that much time, but it was a very interesting
don't worry.
conversation. And let us know in the comments what your thoughts on all this family talk. How do
Yeah,
you go about it? Did you tell it at first? Were you not open about it? What was your philosophy there? We're happy to discuss with you in
yeah.
the comments
And if you want
about
us,
that.
yeah,
And yeah, thank you very much
yeah, of
for your
course.
time.
Of
We
course, guys,
appreciate
we
it.
always appreciate you taking the time. And of course, if you have any topics you want us to talk about related to this, let us know because we covered what we thought would be good for you. So if you have more topics you want us to even touch on, we'll try our best if we can talk about them to share them with you. Just let us know in the comments below. And
And don't forget to like
subscribe.
and subscribe for future
All
episodes.
right, guys.
All right.
We'll write down in the comments the 3 things we're grateful for the sake of time. And we'd advise you to do the same because it's pretty important to do that. So yeah.
It's very important.
All right,
All
Dimitri.
right.
Thank you for making the time to do this, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thank
See
you
you
as well.
guys.